We want to take a moment to talk about our show and its place in the world we're currently living in.
You may have noticed that we took a week-long break from Facing Off. The episode that you're about to hear was recorded before we knew of George Floyd and his death at the hands of the Minnesota Police Department. Excuse its jovial tone. Now is not the time to be jovial.
Please know that we will continue to provide entertainment as we always have. But behind the scenes in our personal lives, we are taking the time to educate ourselves, humble ourselves, listen, and take action to ensure that this moment does not turn to platitudes and a return to the status quo.
We will use our platform, as small as it may be, to lift up people of color in any way that we can. That being said, we're not going to pretend to be anything other than two guys who love people, love movies, and genuinely want a better world for every person living in it.
Yeah, if you have an idea or criticism or means for us to use this podcast to lift up others, please tell us. We are open. We are learning.
Black lives matter to us.
And black voices matter to us.
Please enjoy this episode. Please always be humble and always be learning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How much to get off the boat, Wonka?
I think I'm gonna be sick.
I can take a joke, but has it gone too far? Tell our little guy to turn this around, Wonka!
Ah, now I am gonna be sick. Don't be
Couldn't be.
There's no earthly way of knowing which direction we are going. There's no knowing where we're rowing or which way the river's flowing. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is a hurricane a-blowing? What? Not a speck of light is showing, so the danger must be growing? Are the fires of hell a-glowing? Is the grisly reaper mowing? Yes! The danger must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing, and they're suddenly not showing any signs that they are slowing!
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
You can't handle the truth. King Kong ain't got shit on me. I am the third revolution.
I'm so much crazier than you.
I am the one who knocks.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Big boy, huh? That's Brock.
Everybody on? Good. Great. Grand. Wonderful.
Welcome to Facing Off.
Oh, God, dude. We might have to stop.
Or if there was just one, it'd be better. My name's Nick. This is Gabe. I lost a bet with Gabe about golf, and now I have to eat everlasting gobstoppers the entire time we do this episode.
Sound like a dork.
But this is Facing Off, a podcast in which we rate, compare, contrast two movies with similar plots, or in today's case, they are essentially remakes of one another, remakes of the same book.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, I'm so excited.
These are our episodes. I'm going to sound real weird this whole time.
Yeah, I may have him not do the bet at some point, but it's certainly enjoyable so
I tried
far.
2 gobstoppers at once. I will be doing just one from here on out.
Well, I hope it's enjoyable.
I'll be telling you all at the end which of the flavors I like the most and which of them I'll never have again.
I wish we had the candy for you where you can like spit in 7 different colors.
What? That's a candy?
Yeah, when Willy Wonka, when Mike TV's mom
Oh, it was like
is
an
feeling
IRL
sick.
candy.
Dude, I am so incredibly stoked for this. For anyone that knows me, I am crazy obsessed with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And I don't know, maybe I'm obsessed with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Let's find out. Anyways, do you have any shout outs? We could do like shout outs and emails and stuff.
Yeah, do we have emails and things?
We don't have any emails, but I want to give a shout out to Ryan Martin again. He sent me a bunch of notes actually from listening to our Joker versus Taxi Driver episode. And he brought up some notes that you might agree with that I'll just say really quickly. But I do want to say, Marty, this episode is especially going to be for you because going based off of our conversation over breakfast, I'm going to yell at Nick a lot today, and it's going to be really fun. He's super excited about it. Marty texted me about last week's episode, kind of mostly talking shit about Frances Conroy because he also doesn't like her, and I think it's her face. The woman who plays Joker's mom, Arthur Fleck's mom. He said, I definitely agree with your point about lack of supporting performances in Joker, although I do feel like the only character with a large enough role to really shine was the mom. The rest were so lightly featured, they didn't really have an opportunity. The way Joker was structured, Phoenix's performance carried a lot more weight in factoring the overall acting quality of the film compared to your standard main protagonist. That's one of the reasons I like the movie so much, though. The lack of any prominent supporting roles was necessary to catalyze the audience's ability to empathize with the character, which is what Kane, I think, brought up in the last episode. Yeah, super smart guy. For acting score, it's not a 7, but it's higher than a 6. Like I was trying to say, I think if the performances turned in by side characters like Brian, what's his name?
Callen?
Yeah, Brian Callen. Or the guys on the subway were on par with the ones you see in like No Country for Old Men, like all the side characters, it would be a 7. And I love that Marty said that because that is one of the movies I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of that. But it is a little different because though Anton Chigurh is such a like menacing monster of a character, it's one of the greatest performances. He's not the lead of No Country for Old Men, so you don't need him. Yeah. There are bigger roles on the side,
right?
He said the little person did an amazing job, in my opinion. I forget the name of that actor, but he is great. But personally, I wasn't all that impressed by the performance from the mom, which takes a bit off. Well, Marty, you didn't get to the rest of the episode before we're recording, but thank you for your feedback. That is the exact type of feedback we're looking for. If you want, you could send us an email, or you could text us, or you can like DM us on something, or you can call us and talk about what you thought about these movies and how you broke them down. If you gave us your scores, we would fucking love that. And we'd honestly like post it. Or, keep it private if you wanted to.
Or talk about it in episode, maybe, if you're lucky.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Marty. If you want to send an email, it's facingoffpodcast@gmail.com. Nicholas, why don't you hit us with the synopses of these two movies?
Early reviews. Dude, who likes orange-flavored stuff?
Yeah, they're trash. I think orange Starbursts are like okay.
No, they're not.
They're the worst of all of them.
Okay.
Actually, I think I like them more than yellow.
I've drawn 3 straight orange, and I'm upset. Also, who's paying for my dental bills after this?
Not me. You lost a bet.
I did.
Blame Tom Brady.
So, Willy Wonka and Charlie, both of Chocolate Factory fame, follow the same plot, basically, until the end. So, here they are. A reclusive candy tycoon named Willy Wonka is infamous for his eccentricity, reclusive nature, and delicious chocolate. I remember when they first invented chocolate.
Yeah.
Sweet, sweet chocolate. It's a SpongeBob reference.
Oh. Well, the suspense is killing me. I hope it'll last.
Wonka initiates a worldwide dash to find 5 golden tickets hidden within the wrappings of his famous candy bars. Those who find the ticket get to visit Wonka's factory with a family member and join an exclusive tour of the factory. The 5 winners: Gluttony, Augustus Gloot, a German fat kid; Pride, Violet Beauregard, a gum-addicted world record holder; Greed, Veruca Salt, the heiress of a nut fortune.
Oh shit, you are actually blowing my mind.
Father paid his workers to open a shitload of candy bars just to find his ticket for his daughter; and Sloth, Mike TV, a boy who loves TV. Also, Charlie and his grandpa, both of whom are super duper poor, but very lucky to have this chance to visit a chocolate factory.
What's their sin? Being poor?
If you read really far into the movie, Charlie is lust.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
holy shit,
and the grandpa is envy.
Was this like intentional?
I don't know. Yes, maybe.
I've seen this movie like 30 times.
You're
blowing my mind. Yeah. I'm so pumped.
Yeah, Charlie can be seen as lust and Grandpa can be seen as envy.
Okay.
Anyways, upon their factory visit, each child encounters a situation that horribly disfigures them, except for the wide-eyed Charlie, who is a nice kid, and this is where the stories veer. In Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie is nice and all, but he steals some fizzy drinks during the visit and thus is excluded by Wonka from earning the final prize until he passes up the opportunity to report about what he's seen in the factory, and Wonka reveals that he's set the whole spying thing up to test Charlie and reward him with the keys to the factory as he's proven himself a worthy heir.
Incredible.
In Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie is given the keys to the factory but chooses to live with his family, who are the most important people in his life. Wonka is depressed, unmotivated to make candy until Charlie taps into Wonka's deep-seated daddy issues and prompts Wonka to visit his estranged dentist father after years of absence. Willy and his father reconcile, and Willy allows Charlie's entire family to move to the factory. That's like the big difference in plot. Basically, they're the same.
Charlie in Willy Wonka. Okay, so this is going to be a problem to try to say the name.
For sure.
We're either going to refer to it as Charlie or Willy Wonka and.
Yeah. I just put in my notes it's just Willy or Charlie.
Willy Wonka and is allowed to bring his family to the factory. He says to him, everyone can do that.
In Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that's not the deal at first.
Right.
And then it is after Willy.
Right, because it becomes more about family, for sure. Okay, great synopses. Reason why we're doing this. First of all, they're both on Netflix. Second of all, I am crazy obsessed with Willy Wonka, like to a disturbing degree. I do have these it's kind of interesting that I watch so many movies, but I also repeat watch so many random movies. This is one of those really random ones.
It's not but I just think random. It's a really good. Well, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember why I started rewatching it a lot, and it's because there was this candy store, and any of my LG friends could try to remind me of what the name of the candy store was, but it opened up in Los Gatos. It's kind of a big chain.
Rocket Fizz?
It's not Rocket Fizz.
That's where I got my everlasting gobstoppers.
I'm so happy for you. But in the back of the candy store, which we would go to during the summer, like in middle school and even honestly in high school and stuff, in the back of the store, they had 2 movie seats, from a movie theater, and a screen nonstop playing Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Great.
Every single fucking day, which would be a nightmare if you were working there. But for me, it was beautiful. And I just learned so much of the movie. If it was way too hot of a day, I would go to the back of the store and sit there, and I wouldn't allow anyone else to because I was a brat. And so I don't know. That's why we're doing it. And I convinced Nick to rewatch it and then watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for the first time. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad. And we get to eat some fucking candy.
Oh man.
I was gonna not swear for this, but
yeah, that didn't work out. I'm already over the gobstopper thing. I'm gonna do it because I honor the bet, and we could have bet money, and this is a lot better than paying you.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was a funny idea. Okay, but
we've got our typical 5 categories. Neither of these are true comedies, so we're gonna keep our normal 5 and our 1 to 7 scale. Are you ready?
Yeah, 1 being lowest, 7 being highest, 4 being middle.
Yeah, 1 is the lowest, 7 is the highest. You ready?
Yeah.
Then come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look. You'll see. Into your imagination. Okay.
Let's start with acting, honestly, because I think that it's important for both of these.
I like that.
So let's start with Willy Wonka. Acting is where we talk about the performances and whether the writers and directors gave the actors the tools that they needed to perform at the best of their abilities in the most magical and fun way possible. And let's start with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You can go ahead.
Cool. Willy is obviously just a vehicle for Gene Wilder to perform one of the most iconic acting performances of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a masterclass in sarcasm, in being unsettling but charming and brilliant and hilarious and sharp and also somehow likable, all in the same character.
Yeah.
And the end when he yells at Charlie is so perfect because of all of this all of this insight into how weird this person is, and then he just like explodes at the end.
Do you know that the character, that the guy that played Charlie, Peter Ostrom, who I'll talk about in a little bit because he's pretty interesting, he didn't know that scene was coming, and
Did he cry?
And yeah, so he was like, I mean, it's like honestly a really abusive moment, and it comes out of nowhere because Wonka is crazy, but he's not like mean. And Gene Wilder, the whole shoot was just like, he really, really badly wanted to tell Peter Ostrom because he was going to feel so bad about it, and the director would not allow him to do it because he wanted a real emotion, which is very problematic in a lot of movies, like Last Tango in Paris. What? The green is lemon lime,
Green
isn't
is
it?
watermelon.
Oh, yum. So interesting. Yeah, so that was like fucking Gene Wilder, bless his soul, like really wanted to help.
Scared the crap out of a kid.
But he didn't want to.
The kids, on the topic of the kids, they are not the best.
I couldn't disagree more.
I gave it a 5.
Oh, you fucking asshole.
Because they bother me, dude.
Yeah.
No one in the movie is very good except Gene Wilder, in my opinion. And Gene Wilder's like a 7. But everyone else is like a 3.
Wrong. Okay, can I jump in?
Or a 4. Yeah.
I think you're like mostly fair. I do want to say that I'm going to circle back to Gene Wilder because I think that he deserves a lot of talking points on this. But Jack Albertson as Grandpa Joe is like incredible. And he's an Academy Award winning actor.
Fine.
I think I've Got a Golden Ticket scene when he's singing is genuinely good singing. And I really like that scene. And I think it's so much better than in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when he just gets up and there's nothing about it.
Yeah,
even though he's
so
been
much more
bedridden.
important in Willy Wonka.
It's just a hilarious scene.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a lot of older musicals. I think all the kids are absolutely hilarious. Like, Violet is so funny in her first TV interview when she's like, "Hi, Cornelia. How are you, sweetie?" I think Veruca Salt, like whoever played Veruca in the original Willy Wonka, is incredible. Like, I think it's like really, really good child acting. I love all the shit with like Violet and her, like when she's like, "Can it, you nit?" Or she's like, "Stop squawking, you twit." And the vernicious knit thing. Why does that all rhyme with it? I think the parents are great. I think Veruca's dad is great. Oh, Mr. Beauregard is, I'm going to do my impression later, but Mr. Beauregard is so funny.
Yeah, Mr. Salt is pretty solid.
Dude, the Oompa Loompas are epic. Do you know about the Oompa Loompas? Like, most of them didn't speak English, so that's why because they're from Germany. They filmed a lot of this, like, outside
they
Munich.
filmed it mostly in Germany.
Yeah, and their mouths aren't always right when they're singing, which I honestly think makes it funnier. But they also were known for, like, the little people that played the Oompa Loompas were known to party a ton, and they would take limos out to bars after sets. And I pray to God that they fucking like just sang at these bars. I think Charlie is totally serviceable as a main character. I don't think it's good acting, but I think it works for the role. I think you can empathize with this character a lot.
You can empathize with this character, but I think it's because the writing is good generally.
That's totally fair. And I think that does go into it. But Peter Ostrom, which is kind of interesting, like this is his only movie ever. He didn't do a single thing. They were going to sign him. They like offered him like a 5-movie contract for like, you know, with a studio to do a bunch of movies, and he refused, and he became a veterinarian. And he's just, I really, really like the scene between him and Grandpa Joe when they're sneakily eating some chocolate at night, and he says, "You know, I bet that the golden ticket makes the chocolate taste terrible." And that's like a genuinely great scene.
It's a good line.
The teacher is hilarious. It's like Monty Python-esque humor. I don't know. One thing I'll say about Willy Wonka, once he comes in, he is firing off lines like he's Jordan in one of those like 40-plus point playoff games. It's like nonstop, amazing quips, little like insights when he's blowing up at them and he's like, etc., etc. I love it. I think
it's an iconic.
It's so great. Dude, you're gonna die. It's so great when he's like mad at Violet and he's like, oh, please don't, please stop. And then he goes, oh, it always goes wrong with the desserts. Oh, well, I'll have to figure that out later or something like that. It's great. I really want to give it a 7. I'm going to be fair, give it a 6. I think it is one of my favorite performances ever, though, and that
it's amazing.
If I was forced to bring Joker up to a 7 because of how good Joaquin Phoenix was, I almost want it. Fuck it. I'm giving it a 7.
Yeah, just do it because
right.
I mean I don't like blame you because Gene Wilder is so incredibly good in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like he's just like, and he took the role because he has a couple really great quotes. Like he wanted to do the like somersault scene that his intro. He was like, I'll only do it if it happens exactly this way.
Right. Well, he actually didn't even want to do the movie unless he could do that when he was reading that.
Yeah. He said, I'm going to come out of the door carrying a cane, walk toward a crowd with a limp. After the crowd sees Willy Wonka as a cripple, they all whisper to themselves and they become deathly quiet. As I walk toward them, my cane sinks into one of the cobblestones I'm walking on and stands straight up by itself, but I keep on walking until I realize that I no longer have my cane. I start to fall forward, and just before I hit the ground, I do a beautiful forward somersault and bounce back up to great applause. And that was what he wanted to.
Because he wanted to make sure that they
from
didn't.
Gene Wilder.
Yeah, and I read that interview, and he like he talks about how important that was to the character because you could never know whether he's lying or not.
Yeah.
And that's so great. And honestly, I think you should look up Gene Wilder's interview, one of his last, I think it is his last TV interview with Jimmy Fallon, like before he passed away. And it is like, it's just so pure. And it's like almost all about this movie. And you could tell that his mind had kind of slipped a little bit, but like, it's beautiful. 7 for me. All right, let's talk about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory acting.
Okay. What do you think?
All right, I won't give the rating until the end. Without considering any of the other performances, I want to give this a 1 because I personally hate Johnny Depp as an actor. There are movies that I do really, really like him in, especially his more normal roles. I don't like him as a person either.
It's adequate.
But he brings this whole... I hate every choice that he made. I wrote... Halfway into the movie, I wrote in all caps, dude, fuck Johnny Depp. They make him like kind of feminine-ish, and he has this annoying little laugh. He's like, and I'm going to do this. Like, it doesn't work. He has these dumb little voices. He's essentially doing a Lorne Michaels or Dr. Evil impression for most of it, and then sometimes he slips into like Jim Carrey as Ace Ventura. I don't understand if he was supposed to be funny.
He said he took it from television game show hosts.
Oh, well then I hate it even more because they couldn't have been more off. I didn't find it to be that way. I didn't
understand that quote. The Michael Jackson comparison, he was like, I don't understand that. I don't see it.
He just has
like, dude, you definitely seem like you're doing an impersonation of Michael Jackson.
I mean, to the makeup and the way he's acting and like how creepy he is and the fact that Michael Jackson essentially made like his place to be like the Chocolate Factory.
The like high-pitched voice, the soft-spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pale skin.
I wrote down
the weird haircut.
He doesn't fuck with them to the level that Gene Wilder does.
No, he's a different person than Gene Wilder's Willy.
He's different, but then he copies what Gene Wilder does, like the mumbler. You're mumbling just a little bit. Like he just ruins the joke. It's like Hot Tub Time Machine 2, how it ruined all the great jokes of the first movie by just repeating them. It doesn't work. I don't think like him entering the candy. There's no fucking with them before they even get into the factory. Like he just isn't messing with them, and it's like you're not full of like mysteriousness, and that doesn't work for me. Freddie Highmore is fine. He looks absurd as a child. Like he almost doesn't look like a real human being. I also don't understand why this movie is called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because there's no character development of Charlie.
It's a remake of the book.
which is called that. But like honestly, I think the movie title should be switched.
It followed the plot of the book better, but it's true.
It's more about Willy Wonka, right?
It's more about Willy Wonka, and that was Roald Dahl's like biggest problem with. He disavowed the first movie. He hated the 70s.
And it makes me appreciate the first movie way more.
But it's because the book is about Charlie.
Yeah.
It's not really about Willy Wonka. And he hated that was where they went with it.
No, the original movie is more about Charlie than
it's more about Charlie than the 05 version.
Yeah. The 05 version is
barely about Charlie at all.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Roald Dahl would have hated this even more. I don't know when he
No, I think he actually kind of liked this. I thought he was alive when this came out.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, that was stupid of him.
Yeah, fuck him.
To like this one better. But anyways.
Dude, Veruca sucks in this. That is a bad child actress.
She annoys me.
She's not even interesting in this
Her death
movie.
scene is great. Or
it is. The squirrel scene is cool.
She's not disfigured. She's just covered in trash.
Yeah.
Did you know they trained those squirrels?
Those are real
They tried to train them to do all of that.
Well, the squirrels were pretty good actors, to be honest.
They were great. But all those like close-ups of the squirrels, that's a real squirrel. That's not like a Jungle Book squirrel.
Oh, that's
Mowgli
interesting.
Squirrel.
Yeah. No, it's not like no. They do look real.
Or a Lion King squirrel.
It doesn't look like CGI at all. So
no, it's because they're real. They trained them from birth. They trained several squirrels to crack open walnuts and put the meat of the walnut onto a conveyor belt.
I love that.
Trained squirrels.
I love walnut meat. Dude.
What?
Another person, Violet, like, I forgot that they make her into this, like, karate kid in this.
Yeah, she's like a hyper-competitive.
It makes sense because of the competitive nature of Violet in the original, but, like, I don't like it, and I don't think she's good, although Anna Sophia Robb is actually a pretty good actress. She was really good in Bridge to Terabithia.
Yeah, Mike, I think, is the worst one for me. Mike and
I thought he was the best one.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't hate Johnny Depp in this.
I hate you.
I don't like him. I'm going to give it a 4.
4? Oh my god. All right.
Because I don't think the things that he does that like don't work for me go into other categories.
Okay.
I think that he made a bunch of stupid choices that I would not personally have made had I been him. But I mean, I'm not Johnny Depp, so I don't know what the hell he was thinking. He was the only person, obviously, he was the only person Tim Burton wanted to play this character. Tim Burton's second choice?
Helena Bonham Carter.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Really?
Really.
I actually want to see that movie.
No
I think it
idea.
No, I'm kidding. It would have been.
That's what Wikipedia told me. Wikipedia could be wrong.
That's so wrong. I think he's the second choice for like every director of a big budget.
Like so many people wanted to play this part.
I wondered like who I would really.
And
you know who I'd want? Jake Gyllenhaal. I think Jake Gyllenhaal, but he's not old enough. Like if he was
like
old,
current Jake Gyllenhaal, not
Hugh Jackman.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Hugh Jackman would have been great.
Just like Willem Dafoe.
He just wanted
Crispin Glover.
He just wanted Johnny Depp wanted so badly not to be doing a Gene Wilder impersonation, but the movie's then written
to be like
so that Johnny Depp would have to at least in part be doing a Gene Wilder impersonation. The like sarcastic dislike of children. God, this whole episode, my mouth is just like so full of spit, dude. The physical humor is what fails.
Yeah.
So I gave it a lower. I don't know. The physical humor fails.
I think the physical humor fails. I also didn't mention like Grandpa Joe's one of my favorite parts of the original one, and he is big. He's like a big character in this, but he's lame. He's not charismatic. He knows Willy Wonka for some fucking reason. Like, why did they put that in there?
It doesn't end up lending itself to the plot in any way.
I think that the original movie, you don't even get to Willy Wonka until 45 minutes in. But like, what's so great about it is they really build up all these characters, and especially Charlie. And it's like, not only is it a funnier movie, it's also a more like, it's a humbler version of this story.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm gonna give it a 2. Fuck that.
All right.
Let's move on to our next category. Let's do spectacularity. Okay. Talking about the spectacle of the movie and how engaging it was, and whether you were distracted with runtime or just bored and taken out of it. We could start with Charlie and.
So,
The Chocolate Factory?
This could be fairly brief.
Yeah.
I was pretty engaged in this movie generally, like overall, because they're both sort of musicals. We kind of didn't mention that yet.
No, this one's not enough.
Their build is musicals.
No. The first one
Willy
is definitely
Wonka is built. Oh, I see 100%. What you're saying.
Yeah.
There's enough like silliness and weird stuff to look at, and like weird scenes that are thrown into Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that are like fairly funny, like when they're on the conveyor belt and they go over the puppet nurse wing.
Yeah.
And he goes, this is the puppet like not nursery, the puppet infirmary. It's fairly new.
Yeah.
There's like a couple there's like dry lines that keep you kind of laughing as it goes.
That's fair.
But then what really, really hurts this movie and why I'm giving it a 4 is the ending is just like this. Like, the ending, it just like loses steam, and then there's this whole like 25 minutes of just like,
yeah, it is.
Oh, we're just gonna like, oh, okay, it's about family now.
Which is weird because Willy Wonka kind of ends more abruptly.
Yeah, there's a pacing issue for sure in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, this is an example of a very well-made movie that I just strongly detest. I was sitting there with my arms crossed like the whole time. And I think it's not totally fair. I think a lot of that is just because of my obsession with Willy Wonka. But I should also be excited about seeing the story again with better production value. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't. I think the pacing is really awkward and clunky. I don't think the movie is evil or dark enough to be interesting. No. And I don't think it's funny enough to be fun.
Yeah.
And like...
I think it's funny enough to be fun.
I thought like thank you so much for boring the hell out of us with the exposition of everything in Willy Wonka's backstory for the first like 20 minutes, including that stupid Indian chocolate palace story.
Oh my God,
that served no purpose. I thought they were going to bring it up later.
That must be in the book, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to read the book because it's a children's book. I got Game of Thrones to read.
Oh, nice.
I'm real backed up on Game of Thrones.
This movie just takes it. I think it takes itself too seriously, or it shows you too much.
And it's obvious because Christopher Lee is the narrator. As soon as you're like, oh, Christopher Lee's the narrator, taking yourself too seriously.
Well, yeah, right, because he is just such a dark voice. I just think of Saruman.
Yeah, it's like, oh, thanks, Saruman, for explaining the entire existence of Willy Wonka. Really appreciate that. Also, totally nitpicking, when it says like Dusseldorf, Germany, and it's like on your screen is just so obviously a city in Germany. Yeah. Like they just put like such Germany buildings in there.
I know.
And you're just like, that. Obviously that's Germany. And then 2 seconds after you say Dusseldorf, Germany on the bottom, everybody starts like everyone. Yeah. That was not a German accent.
That was like the Swedish plumber.
It was. I'm the Swedish plumber. But then immediately you're just like, I am a ghostes Glut. And you're like, okay. Then we're in Germany. Thanks.
I
hate that.
I didn't even talk like so. The humor is just not there in this movie, and I don't even know if it was purposefully supposed to be funny. Nick and I were talking about this earlier, but the score is like always dark and menacing. And so it doesn't even allow you to laugh during it. And it's not a musical. So like besides the Oompa Loompa like rock songs, there's no there's no like taking
bangers.
You out of like the seriousness.
They're bangers.
Yeah, fine. They're not memorable. They're not catchy. No, because
you can't understand what anyone is saying because it's like 7 people all singing at once.
Yeah, and like falsetto.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But they are bangers.
I also got to say, dude, this movie is too long. For 2 hours is too long for this type of movie. Mm-hmm. I couldn't care less about a lot of the sequences. The whole like Mike TV scene in the factory, and then the Queen-like song by the Oompa Loompas in that is like, you could take that whole scene out of the fucking movie because I could not care less.
The movie loses steam, and I'm actually going to take it down.
It ruined everything I found magical about the original movie, and that took me out.
I'm going to take it down to a 3 because the pacing is just so messed up.
Piece up to spectacularity down.
Nailed it. My teeth hurt. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Take those out of your damn mouth.
I gave a 6. It's a much more like, it's a movie that you just know is very confident in itself. You can just feel that
Great work.
Everyone making the movie was like, we got this. Like, this is just we're very much in the zone. We are in the pocket. We are jamming. Yeah. Let's crank this bad boy out. And like, they loved what they were doing so much that there are additional scenes that are not in the movie that sound like they are so funny. They almost sound like,
because they had so many.
Do they remind me of like Rick and Morty-esque like tangential scenes that they just took out of this movie?
I need to see that.
That would have been so funny.
Is there a director's cut with that?
Okay, let me read you this one. I gave it a 6. I think it's great. The oddities
I think that's a fair
about where the children are going. The fact that this is almost a horror movie, like it's.
You don't know.
Roger Ebert gave it a 4 out of 4 when it first came out, and he said that the movie is scary, but also not, and it's funny, but also is not essentially, it's not what he said, but he was like, it's just scary enough and just funny enough and just endearing enough that it's like a perfect family comedy or family movie. For sure. And it's so true. Because it's not really scary, but also those kids died like straight up in this one.
Yeah.
You don't
know. Yeah.
You don't know.
And I love that.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you know they're not dead.
Yeah.
In this one, they could be dead. Who knows? This is the scene that they cut out of this. I think it's so awesome. Okay. It was cut due to poor test screenings. Okay. I guarantee you film this now, I'm gonna screen it real positively. But it's in the scene, which took a lot of preparation and money to film, an English explorer climbs a holy mountain to ask a guru the meaning of life. The guru requests a Wonka bar. Finding no golden ticket, he says, "Life is a disappointment." That's it.
I love that.
That's the scene.
No, I love that.
It fits so perfectly with the tone.
The
it's hilarious.
No, and it would work in the montage. So I love that. And I think if there's a director's cut, I gotta watch it.
And
it's kind of crazy.
Stuart, I forget the guy's first name, but he loved the scene. But very few people laughed at it. Like it was too dry. And he invented his psychologist friend to watch it, and the psychologist told him, "You don't understand, Mel." It's Mel Stewart.
Yeah.
For a great many people, life is a disappointment, but that's like half the point of the movie.
Yeah, I love that.
Is that life is terrible?
And I think it would have fit.
Life is horrible.
So I'm gonna give it a 7 because I am so engaged every time I watch this. Like if Nick just watched it with me, and it's one of those movies where I sit forward in my seat and put my hands under my chin and just watch in amazement. I hate musicals. I don't like them. I can't emotionally resonate with movies where there are people singing. This is a great musical. I think every song is whimsical and fun. It's not annoying. Nope. The only scene that takes me out of the movie is Cheer Up Charlie, because it's so depressing and it's just not important. How can you not love the Oompa Loompa songs? They're just like cautionary tales. They're hilarious. They're like really, really well.
In Willy Wonka.
In Willy Wonka. Yeah, they're like hilarious cautionary tales where you're like, did they know what was going to happen beforehand? Which is the funniest part of it. The Pure Imagination, as you were talking about earlier, is one of my favorite like musical songs ever. It goes up there with like Singing in the Rain and some things in Wizard of Oz. The Nightmare boat scene is so great. Like I'm so engaged during that
scene.
Gene is just a beautiful lunatic. So you know that the Wonkatania was like on a track, and they had an Oompa Loompa in the front, and he thought he was actually steering it, but Mel Stewart didn't tell him that it was on a track. And the guy, dude, that just makes that so much better. There were a few moments where Nick and I and I've seen this so many times, we genuinely died of laughter. Like, we laughed so hard when I did the "What's for dessert, baby?" with Mr. Beauregard. Augustus Gloop's dad eating the microphone. Slugworth has low-key one of the funniest moments when he's interviewing I can't remember if it's Augustus Gloop or no, it's Violet, and he's swinging the microphone back and forth. Yeah, and it's like there's little bits of comedy that keep you going. The whole sequence with the Wonka bars is so great. It's like a montage, and you're getting there's the German psychiatrist who's like, "But tell me where they are," and then you have the computer. And
it was a pirate. You just did a pirate.
Yeah, it was like, "But tell me." Yeah, I don't know.
That's Italian, I think.
I love when it's like the rude ass computer, and it's like, what would a computer do with a lifetime supply of chocolate?
Oh yeah.
And he's like, I'm about to tell him exactly what he can do. is a funny.
That scene is so
Dude, the
great.
ultra dramatic scene where the
dude, I
woman,
forgot about that
there's
one.
a kidnapper who like kidnapped this woman's husband and is holding him for ransom for her last like case of Wonka bars. And the cop is like, come on, you got to do this for your husband. And she's like, I don't know. I have to think about it.
Can I think about it?
So good. I will say, as a final point of why it's a 7 for me,
None
it's
of
the
that
scene.
Is in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
No, and
That's
it's
the
so
problem.
like this movie is making fun of itself as it's going, and it's great. One thing that sums it up why it's a 7 for me, before I like talk way too much, is that when they open up the Candyland area with the chocolate river and everything, and he sings Pure Imagination, like my heart is like exploding as I'm watching that scene. Like it's beautiful, it's full of wonder. It's like Wizard of Oz when she first shows up, or it's like Harry Potter when they first get to Hogwarts. Like it's just this, you know that you're entering some like magical movie, and the most of the room actually was edible.
Yeah.
I mean eatable. I mean you could literally eat everything in the room.
Good job. Except for the water, which the actor that played Augustus Gloop said, and I am going to take this.
No, there was real chocolate in it. It's not, there wasn't a lot.
Tried.
Yeah.
It didn't work, so they just dyed it.
And it smelled
And then
really
they asked
bad.
him later, and he said, it was just dirty, stinking water.
Wait, was he actually German?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
His name's like Adam
Froheim.
or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
That's funny. I
He's
do
like,
wish
it was just dirty, stinking water.
I do wish that Willy Wonka was in more of the movie, but when he shows up, it's just like bam, 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 bam. These are great scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our next category. Our next
going?
category, let's do originality.
Early reviews. The red ones are the best, the orange ones are the worst. Same with every other candy.
Which is the one with the hairy chest?
the
green?
orange ones.
Oh.
The green ones are good. They start watermelon, and then in the middle, they're lime.
All right, Nick, talk to me about originality. What was creative about this movie? Did it need to be made? Does it need to be made since it's from original source material?
Are we starting with Willy Wonka?
Yeah.
You're not going to like this. I don't think that you needed to make this movie necessarily. I think there's something to be said that
What are you saying to me?
that the creator, the writer, doesn't like.
I'm a trifle deaf in this ear. Could you speak a little louder?
If the writer doesn't, if the writer of the book disowns the movie, you've created something that is so not what he intended that, I mean, I guess that's original. I'm going to give it a 5 because I do think that it's a great movie and it's like launched so many things, and we'll talk about it in Legacy. I'm going to give it a 5. I was wrong by giving it a 4. I just think it's interesting that someone who wrote a very famous book, had it adapted, would be like, I hate that so much that I will say that I disavow. I do not approve.
It's happened a few times. Like Dune famously was like
I have to know that has to be taken. You have to
no, that's serious.
take that in, but I don't know why that is. I do think that a lot of Dahl's ideas for the way that he wanted his book to be were really interesting. Like, did you know that Charlie was supposed to be black?
Yeah, he was supposed to be black. There was supposed to be it was supposed to be really fucked up in the factory.
Right.
Like they were supposed to be like mashed up into like meat and shit.
He also the Oompa Loompas were fairly racist.
Yeah.
And then he changed them so that they were white and they were more like hippies in the book.
Right.
And then obviously the movie took the original idea to just make them like weird, creepy clowns that are orange.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah, it's a great choice
Yeah.
because then it's like, oh yeah, that's not
It's
racist.
not making
That's
fun of
just
anything.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's a fair rating.
I'm gonna give it a 5. It's just really interesting that Dahl would like really hate this so much, and his wife too. When she was interviewed about it, was like they just changed it too much. I don't understand why they had to take such a beautiful work from my husband and change it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
Well, it's
fair,
like,
and
but-
he
but
has
then when they-
every
I mean-
right to be mad at that. But like,
Right.
I don't necessarily always like when a remake is exactly
It
like
obviously
it.
worked the way they changed it.
Yeah, I think the creative risks really work, and I really appreciate them. I just think that it's such an original movie for not being like the book. And I actually respect that because they didn't mess up anything. The tone, the ideas of the original book are still in there.
Yeah.
Which is weird that Roald Dahl would be so like adamantly against it. The idea of the value and importance of Willy Wonka and chocolate in this world is a hilarious idea. Like where it's like essentially more important than money. And they shame poor ass kids who could somehow only afford like one chocolate bar a year. How poor could you couldn't live if you couldn't have one and you were living in that city. One chocolate bar a year. It's like back then it was like 5 cents.
Gotta love cabbage soup.
Dude, looked good. But like everything about that I think is really creative. And then aside from Willy Wonka, I think this movie cares so much about its characters.
Yeah.
Like but shrouding Willy Wonka in mystery is itself a smart idea to keep him interesting. It's a creative touch. Even though the movie's supposed to be about him, you don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
And then I love the way that Willy tells them about the Oompa Loompa background in this. I thought it was really clever because it's so absurd that someone's like, Loompa Land? I teach geography. I've never heard of Loompa Land. And he's like, oh, well, then you will know all about their plight and stuff. And he tells this story about them, but you don't see it. But then in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, they fucking show all that, and it ruins the absurdity of that story.
Are we transitioning to talk into this?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay.
But out of originality. But let's talk about Charlie and the
Chocolate Factory. You see the Oompa Loompa thing. I'm just gonna talk about Oompa Loompas.
Yeah, that's fine.
You see this fucking ridiculous scene with
I wrote way too much.
With Johnny Depp like slicing and dicing his way through a jungle and like trying to taste giant hornets to see if they're sweet enough to make into candy. Ludicrous. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
How weird is it that the book, whenever it was written, early 20th century, they were like, ooh, the African pygmy thing, pretty racist rolled. You're going to have to change that. And he was like, you're right. And then the 05 remake, they were like
indigenous people.
Go back to the jungle pygmy idea. They shouldn't be black, but let's make him an Indian guy.
Yeah.
And then let's make every Oompa Loompa the same Indian guy.
Yeah.
Very weird choice. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Definitely not an original idea. Seems pretty messed up. Yeah. Doesn't work. And just in generally, I don't think the movie is original. I gave it a 2.
I'm hovering between a 1 or a 2. Just because it's more close to the book doesn't make it more creative.
I've seen everything in this movie before.
Totally. In other movies, and you've already seen it in Willy Wonka.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really tough because this is one of those, stop, you don't need to anymore. You've lost your bet.
I think I lose.
Okay. You now owe me $50.
I can't keep eating these.
I think it's unfair. This is another one of those examples of like the thing that came. Okay, the thing that came before it, I'm so obsessed with that it hurts anything afterwards. It's like, how can you tarnish the legacy of something that I love? But I still think that everything seems genuinely wrong about this and not creative. I do like the whole plot with his dad and his daddy issues. I think it's actually kind of well written to understand Willy Wonka. I don't think it's necessary. But I also just
the exposition about it is what annoys me, not necessarily the story. The fact that they're like, they don't like each other.
Yeah, I like it more when you actually see the scenes between him and Christopher Plummer.
And I hate that he has the most stupid, exaggerated Tim Burton version of braces that a human can possibly have.
Tim Burton's a psycho. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't like that they show too much of his backstory because then it creates more flaws. They show that he has this affinity, a newfound affinity for candy because he's like rebelling against his dad, but they literally never explain why he is such a great inventor. That's not like, there's nothing for that. So like, it would be better to keep it ambiguous. You already talked about the Oompa Loompas. I don't like that there's no Slugworth plotline. There is the spy thing for a second, and there are 3 different spies, but the Slugworth plotline actually is a good through line for the original movie about, like, what it takes to be a trustworthy and good child. You know? Yeah. Not ratting on your dad when he's, like, drunk. No, I'm kidding. But like, dude, I do like the squirrel scene. I think it's kind of clever. It's a cool addition to put that in. It's a cool way of like differentiating, and the squirrels are super cute. I don't like the scene more. I just like it,
dude. But they maul the worst character in the
which is cool. But
the movie, it's great.
Veruca's scene in the original,
a bunch of squirrels maul a small child. What could you not like about that?
I love that. What I love more, I think, in the original is Veruca's song is great. I love Veruca's song when like I want the world. It's dude, and going the good. I don't know. I love that scene. I don't like them showing the kids leaving at the end. It's good because it's a kids movie. It's what happens in the book too. And that is part of the problem with the first movie is that it scared a lot of parents. But like, I don't like that. And it's just mostly a CGI flex on the original.
Now, okay, we're moving on to eye candy, right?
Yeah, let's do that.
What did you give that, Charlie?
Charlie, I'm gonna give. I'll give it a 1. Yes. Fuck that movie.
Originality. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is actually not. It's a lot of CGI, but it's not as much CGI as you'd think.
No, it's a lot of practical production design.
It's a lot of practical production design just because they didn't think that the children, not probably just because of this. It was probably interesting and cool to do as a director, but the children couldn't act in front of CGI, so they were like, we have to do a bunch of practical stuff.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's part of the reason why they did it. Okay. Hate the Oompa Loompas. Hate them.
Yeah, visually they look
stupid. They're super dumb. It's very annoying. But the rest is actually pretty good and fun. Yeah. The use of practical effects rather than digital effects shows, especially if you know about it, and it mostly works. So I gave it a 5. I don't think that anything, with the exception of the magical glass elevator and the Oompas.
Yeah, I don't like
the Oompas. The Oompa Loompas.
The magical glass elevator kind of ruins how fucking absurd the first one is.
It does. So, I mean, it's the only reason it's not higher than a 5, because mostly I think visually it works. Even stupid scenes like the palace and the like trudging through the jungle scene,
it looks kind of cool.
Generally work. They don't look. Yeah. They don't look horrible. They look better than movies that came out like a year ago.
I mean, my first note on this was like, whoa, cool CGI opening scene with a high-tech factory and intense music. You're a kid's movie, fucking relax,
dude, it reminds me of the original Spider-Man opening.
Yeah, it's, in sound.
Yeah, like it's so long, too.
But visually, everything looks good. I think that even the CGI hasn't aged poorly, and that's actually kind of cool. I do like Burton's weird mind. I mean, it's like such a Tim Burton movie, but like I like the way that he does production design wise, the house that they live in. Yeah.
I hate that.
And the invention room. The costuming is mostly good. I mean, they must have okay, so this had $150 million budget, which is for sure a waste because it's not more magical than the original.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure almost all of it must have gone into that boat ride because they make the boat ride the most insane CGI fuckfest of a scene.
It is.
It is cool, but I don't think it's more scary or exciting than the original one. So, like, cool, good waste of money, you idiot. I'm gonna give it a 4. I think it's kind of average. Like I'm not blown away by it, but I honestly don't mind visually anything in it.
No.
It's nice to watch.
And it's the same thing for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory for me. Like, I enjoy all the psychedelic stuff. I think all movies that have psychedelic stuff should look like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
There's a lot of iconic visuals, too, and, like, scenes and things that obviously stuck with people after this. It's a movie from the 70s, so, like, does some of it fall flat? For sure.
But it's so interesting because I just watched Citizen Kane yesterday.
Yeah.
And Citizen Kane was made in 1941, and it looks like leagues. It looks leagues better than movies from like the 70s, which is just crazy.
That's awesome. One of Johnny Depp's
favorite movies is Citizen Kane.
No, well, maybe, I don't know him. One of his inspirations for his character in Willy Wonka, in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, is Citizen Kane.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
There's
Weird,
like
but I
a
get it.
cockiness to him that Charles whatever Kane has.
Really strange. But I gave Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory a 5. Same score.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think it's pretty on for an older movie, but it's not amazing.
I think I gave it a 4 as well. This is the only problem I have with the movie. I don't
Did I say 4? I meant 5.
You said 5. I gave it a 4.
Oh, okay.
As well as I did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I think the production design is amazing in every scene. There's a meticulous way that they crafted all of the scenes. The invention room is brilliant, absolute nonsense. It is
dude.
so. I actually respect that, even though the invention room is really cool in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. In this one, it's so you could sit there and look around and be just amazed by who fucking decided what was going to be in that room. I love that everything is in half in his office. And the reason for even the wallpaper is.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because they got to that scene and they were just going to have an office. And then Mel Stewart was like, why? We can't just show why would he have a normal office? We got to do something weird about this. So they just cut everything in half, which is a genius way to not add anything to a room. Not a lot of cool camera tricks. I don't think there's anything special visually. And the 70s is actually one of the best decades ever in film history. Just a lot of bangers, especially around this time. I do think the boat scene is really, really well done. Yeah. And I love they do the avant-garde, disgusting film on the side that they actually made for the movie. One of the producers, I think, is the one that has the fucking millipede crawling on his face. Oh. And he had to do it, and it was really tough. I'm going to give it a 4. Let's move into our last category.
All right.
Legacy. Legacy is where we talk about legacy. Is where we talk about how this movie is talked about over time. What is its lasting legacy? How does it stand out in the history?
Starting
of
with
movies?
Charlie.
Yeah, let's start with Charlie because we obviously got to end with Willy.
It is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is largely forgotten. I think.
Yeah,
it's cool and all, but Johnny Depp just being Johnny Depp is no matter what you think of him, he's definitely a weird, unusual individual. And
I just don't respect people that prefer him.
Yeah, the fact that this is just a Burton Depp movie is just oh yeah, you mean the Burton Depp one?
Yeah,
the one that's the Tim Burton one. Oh, you mean the Tim Burton?
Where he just had to put Helena Bonham Carter in it too, and just totally misuse her talents because she's so goddamn good at acting.
She's just just his mom. She's just Charlie's mom. Doesn't do anything. It's just it's just not good enough to surpass it's the fact that it's just such a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
It's just it's just one of Tim Burton's movies where he redid a thing from before.
Right.
Where he took a book and he just did Tim Burton stuff to it. And it's okay, cool. But I mean, that being said, it has an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. People generally like it. Yeah. It's not a bad movie.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember how I felt when I was a kid and I watched this because I don't remember liking it because I already liked the movie, the original, but I don't think I was as pissed as I am now. And honestly, at that time, I still liked Johnny Depp. I hadn't. At that time, I hadn't built up my hatred for Johnny Depp. I mean, it was still early, I think, in the Pirates of the Caribbean days. And the first Pirates of the Caribbean, I still liked Johnny Depp. It's just when they kept going with that character that I stopped liking him.
Fair enough.
It made $474 million, which is a lot, but it cost a lot of money. And it also was a different time, 35 years before, and it was a summer blockbuster. It weirdly has really good critical reviews, which I don't fully get, but I think it's just that critics really love Tim Burton and everything he's done.
Yeah.
Audiences were whatever on it. I think 6.6 is too high on IMDb, but it was a 48%. I think it's just, even though it's more colorful, it's more forgettable, as you were saying. Sure. Yeah. And people only talk about the OG one, and they should.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to give it a 2. I don't think it's, I think it deserves some credit for how successful it was, but I
think 3 is the more reasonable answer, but you're being pretty unreasonable today.
Dude, I just this movie is such a fucking slap in the face,
and that's okay,
to the beauty of the original
you're
one.
right, and it's okay.
Well,
So for me,
I'm hovering.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory has a total 18. Now that we're done with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I have to add mine up. It's going to take me a couple seconds.
Well, that's a good
Go
thing
ahead.
because we're talking about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory now, and its legacy is very obviously a 7.
Interesting.
How could it not be?
I'll explain.
No, Gene Wilder's performance is just iconic. Truly.
11.
Ooh, wow. Truly an upper level performance, like elite level acting job by Gene Wilder. So that lives on. The candy company, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory,
exists.
Who I am going to sue for ruining my teeth and the inside of my mouth in this episode. For an hour, I have been eating these damn gobstoppers.
Maybe you should guess for golf better.
Dude, the inside of my mouth is just like sandpaper right now. These gobstoppers are, they're delicious, actually. But the candy company, I think, debuted shortly before the release of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, interesting.
And then was purchased in '88 by Nestle. And now we just have like now we have an actual candy giant made from a movie about a candy giant, made about a book about a candy giant.
Yeah.
And that's really cool that like that came from this movie. I think that alone would make it a 7, but it's also really, really well liked. 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert gave it the full score he could when the movie came out. Like, it's just a very, very good family movie that has something for everybody.
I'm not saying I'm going to give it a 7, but I'm not saying that it is like a hard 7 because like objectively, because when it came out, it was not a big hit.
It wasn't.
Parents were really scared of it. Not even kids. Like parents were scared of showing their kids that. It only grossed $500,000 on a $3 million budget. It lost
Didn't know that.
It lost money, but it became one of the biggest hits once it like went to like home like
Yeah, it
VHS
famously
and stuff.
debuted on TV after 40 minutes of it were cut because it was after a football game that went into overtime.
Oh, interesting.
And, you know, it was like the 70s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that was more.
they
important
just
than-
started the movie 40 minutes in.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That would be so annoying if you'd never
Yeah,
seen it.
exactly. You just show up. with
Actually,
Willy Wonka.
no, because then you'd only get
You
Willy
only
Wonka.
get Gene Wilder. Yeah.
Yeah, but it like quickly became iconic. It's a legendary film. Everyone recognizes it.
And
Most
they're candy.
people at least remember a lot of the songs, even if they haven't seen the movie in a while. It's got a really low Metacritic score, which is a little bit more like
That's
harsher.
strange.
It's like 67. And I mean, it's surprisingly under 8 for IMDb. And like, fuck you guys who gave like, I don't know.
I definitely don't.
It was nominated for an Oscar, but it should have been nominated. I legitimately think it should have been nominated for Best Picture over The Last Picture Show, which is considered one of the best movies, and it's a pile of garbage. It's not, but I don't like it. Gene Wilder was like legitimately robbed a nomination. It makes no sense to me that he wasn't nominated. But it gets better and better every time, and its lasting legacy for me is that final line to Charlie when he's like, "But don't forget about the boy who got everything he ever wanted, Charlie." Like, he's like, "What happened?" He's like, "He lived happily ever after." And then it ends, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to fire this back up again. I'm watching it again. It's like Inception for me. I'm going to give it a 7. So in total, I gave an 11 to Charlie and the Chocolate
Mine's an
Factory
18.
out of 35. Because
So that's
I'm brutal.
what is that? 39. No, that's not how math works. 29
Okay.
out of.
And I gave
A
a
lot.
30,
More than that.
and I gave a
7.
31 to Willy Wonka out of 35.
Mine is 28.
Wait, I don't understand how mine is the 31. No, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, 30. So fucking, I love that
50
movie. I encourage
59
everyone who.
59 to 29.
That's great. All right. Well, let's get into our accolade section.
All right.
Let's talk about
Been
some
excited for
awards.
this the whole time.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because we're gonna break down. We are going to rate our favorite candy.
Yeah, I don't think I get to hear the word candy for a while. I already
Candy.
have a sugar headache. I definitely should not have gotten like a sugary coffee drink too.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I'm messed up.
Who's your MVP? Who won these movies?
Gene Wilder?
Yeah. Next question.
Next.
Who lost these movies? Who's your LVP?
Crappy Children.
Yeah. I think remakes.
Children who are caricatures of the 7 cardinal sins.
Yeah. I think remakes really lost.
Remakes too. Ooh, good one.
And Johnny
Good
Depp.
pick.
Fuck him. Comeback player of the year. The performance that grew on you over time, or something that grew on you over time.
Johnny Depp.
I hate you. Just get off my podcast.
I liked it more as he kept doing it.
I think it's this
Physical
time.
comedy is really dumb, though.
Yeah.
Like the running into the glass elevator. I was like, just stop doing that.
Oh, so annoying. That's just for children. Kids. I think the one that grew on me this time, even though I've always liked him, is Jack Albertson as Grandpa Joe. Especially watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it made me appreciate how awesome he is in Willy Wonka. Sixth man, person who did the most with the least.
The OG Augustus Gloop.
That's hilarious. I honestly thought that the newer Augustus Gloop, it was just like fat shaming. It's like, I wasn't even, the part when he's like overeating himself is like more sad.
Disgusting.
Yeah. I'm going to go with probably Veruca or either Veruca's dad or Mr. Beauregard, Violet's dad.
Oh, yeah.
I just think both of them are so like funny in such a small, or the mom for Mike TV when she's like, when he goes doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and she goes rock on and off. it's so dumb. That was, I guarantee you that was ad-libbed. It's so good. All right, all-star team. Pick 5 performances that you would
Gene
put
Wilder
against any others.
I actually really like, I didn't talk about this in acting, the newer Charlie. Even though he's weird looking.
Freddie Highmore.
I think he's good. So Gene Wilder, Charlie 2, original Augustus Gloop, Roald Dahl, and the Squirrels.
All right. I will go with Gene Wilder, Veruca's dad.
Original, these are OG Veruca.
Yeah, the originals. And then Violet's dad, Mr. Beauregard, and then I honestly I want to go the teacher. I think the teacher's so
Okay.
2. All right. Well, that's just absurd. So for the purposes of this exercise, we'll say you had 200 chocolate bars.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that scene. Do you have an infant trooping award for the dumbest moment?
I mean, no, I didn't do one for this one. But if I had to pick a dumbest moment, I think it's definitely the Chocolate Palace scene.
Yeah.
Charlie and the
just
Chocolate
what
Factory?
purpose did it serve?
I mean, it was so stupid the whole time. You're just like, wait, it's India.
Yeah.
It's gonna melt. And then it melted. And then the movie had the gall to allow the man who wanted the Chocolate Palace to live after his Chocolate Palace collapsed on him. He should have died.
Yeah, I agree.
It
should have been
better.
It would have been beautiful.
And really dark and weird.
I will go with that scene as well, or going to Loompa Land. I hate that.
Yeah, I thought
although it looks visually cool.
the Chocolate Factory or the Chocolate Palace is worse.
Yeah.
Chocolate Palace is definitely something on Urban Dictionary.
Chocolate Palace is what I call my butthole.
Yeah. Chocolate Palace means
All right, do you have
something.
a favorite moment?
Like an individual moment?
Yeah, sure. Or you say favorite
What
quote.
was Gene Wilder's line that we were just busting up laughing at? There was one particular one.
The Dreamers of Dreams? We are the music makers and we are the dreamers of dreams.
So random.
Because he doesn't answer the person's question.
No.
I love it when he goes I'm sorry, all questions must be submitted in writing. My favorite moment, just in total, is when they go into the Candyland area with the chocolate fountain, because everything, the song, Pure Imagination's great. The way everyone's acting is hilarious. And then when Augustus Gloop falls into the river and it gets sucked up, that's when his mom is like, won't you do something? And then he's like, I can't do my German today. But he's like, help, police, murder. And it's like, that's one of my favorite Gene Wilder scenes.
The
It's
way
so
he
good.
reacts when he falls in too is like,
He's like, oh, don't taint the. He's like so much more worried about his
Yeah.
chocolate. He like can't be touched by
don't
people.
taint chocolate.
I love the boat scene. Okay, do you have any recommendations for things that people should watch?
Not related to chocolate.
Oh wait, sorry. What are your top 5 favorite candies, Nick? In any order.
In order.
Okay, in order.
These are my favorite candies. No one will agree with me in the whole world. I guarantee it. Number 1. Number 5.
Don't even say anything.
Number 5. Reese's Pieces.
Who are you, E.T.?
Dude, Reese's Pieces are amazing.
I know, they
Number
went
4,
really
Lifesavers. Not the mint ones, the candy ones.
But not the gummy lifesavers.
No.
Oh, fuck off.
Well,
dude.
yeah, those two.
What are
no,
you fucking
the hard ones in the tube.
65 years old?
Dude, those are great. I
Anybody
love
who-
hard candies.
You're an old person.
Number 3, peanut M&Ms.
That's great.
Number 2, Reese's Cups.
You would.
And number 1,
That's just one Christian's bracket.
Payday. Payday is my favorite candy bar.
Interesting. Is that the one like completely covered in peanuts?
Yeah, it's peanuts, and then it's like this like peanut flavored nougat.
Isn't essentially like it's
like
a lot like Baby Ruth, but with peanuts on it.
no chocolate. It doesn't have any chocolate. It has like a nougat.
I love nougat. Listen
it has
to
like
me.
a peanut butter flavored nougat or something.
They call me Ted Nougat because I love nougat so much. It's
and
not
because
good.
you're a raging
conservative. Yeah, no.
figurehead.
All right. In order, number 5, Charleston Chew. I love Charleston Chew. That's like great nougat. And yeah, you could call me old.
Is Payday nougat?
Okay, so number 5, Charleston Chew. Number 4, Big Cherry.
Oh,
Those are really good. I'm kind of weird with these.
they had those at Rocket Fizz. I almost got one.
Oh, nice. Number 3,
I want to try something
Green
different.
Apple Abba Zabbas.
Okay. Okay. You made fun of my list?
Yeah.
Dude, get out
Number
of here.
2, I think like I was hovering between because I want to go with a chocolate bar. I'm not a big chocolate
Green Apple
I'm not.
Zabbas,
Dude, they're so good. It's like having peanut butter on a green.
Have you ever had
Fuck
an O.
you.
Henry bar?
Yeah.
Okay. Payday is O. Henry without the chocolate.
Okay. Well, you know what? I hate you. Oh wait, you know what? Actually, hold on. I'm gonna redo this. Okay. I'm gonna take Green Apple Abba Zabba off of there, even though I love it and I appreciate it, Nick. I'm going to remove it and replace it with Almond Joy because I absolutely love Almond Joys. And then number 2, I'm going to do a tie between Twix and Snickers because I don't prefer chocolate candy to like sweet candy. But they're both just right there.
Snickers
and then number
was
1,
very narrowly on my list.
it's great. I mean, I think Snickers just has everything. And number 1 is Sour Patch Kids. I think Sour Patch Kids are amazing. And that's my type of candy.
yeah,
I'm a child.
The gummies.
I like gummies and I like sour.
I like gummies and peanut stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
You like gummies and penis stuff.
Yeah, nice. Nailed
Okay.
it.
You have any recommendations for movies that people should watch?
No, not about candy.
All right. Doesn't need to be about candy.
Oh, The Lodge was fun. I liked watching that one.
Oh,
And
yeah, one
also,
thumbs up.
I have never been more stressed out than in a finale, the finale of Defending Jacob on Apple
Yeah.
TV.
If you watch Defending Jacob, text Nick or email us and let him know. But don't ruin it. Actually, I check the email, so don't do that.
Yeah, don't. You'll get. Yeah, there's definitely some twists in there that you do not see coming.
I recommend every single Gene Wilder movie.
enough.
Especially like Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles. He's so great in both of those. Citizen Kane, I really recommend. I think Citizen Kane
not
is
in
so
Citizen
good.
Kane.
No, I know, but I think Citizen Kane is so like it was worth the hype for me. It's beautiful. I can't believe he made that in 1941. Go on HBO Max. If you have access to HBO, do HBO Max. It's unbelievable. They have a lot of stuff from the Criterion Collection and a lot of newer stuff. It's cool. I also recommend The Wizard of Oz. Everyone should rewatch that movie. It is incredible. If we can find a way to do it on this podcast, we will, because it is so great. You can follow us on social media. We are on Instagram.
No, that's not what I meant.
Instagram.com/facingoffpod. Just look up Facing Off and you will find our podcast, and you could DM us and follow us there, and you can check out all the movie recommendations I put on there, and find out what our next episodes are going to be. You can also follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/facingoffpod, and you can send us an email. Do this. Let us know how you rated these movies. facingoffpodcast@gmail.com. Next week, we're going to do 2 highly anxiety-riddled movies with Adam Sandler. We're doing Uncut Gems versus Punch Drunk Love, both of which I think can be found on Netflix right now, or Punch Drunk Love I think is on HBO. But go and check it out.
Both of which have 3 syllables in the title.
Yes, and both
Punch
of which
Drunk Love,
are really
Uncut Gems.
Yeah, and they're really good, but they are very stressful, but fun. Nick, do you have a send off?
I do, and I have another fun fact. Did you know that Sammy Davis Jr. really wanted to play the Candyman in the original one?
But they thought it was gonna take you out of the movie.
It would take you out if Sammy Davis Jr. baby. I can't do an impression of him.
No.
But my send
that was like Sid the Slap.
I know you can't. I did this thing. It's oh man, can you do Sammy Davis Jr.?
No.
It's a great impression if you could pull it off.
No, I'll learn it.
I'm the Candyman, baby.
That's kind of funny. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.